Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, September the 1st, 2023. September! On the front page is a huge picture. It says "Streetfuls of Fun" at Carberry Homecoming. The streets were chock full of fun in Carberry on August 26th from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. during its annual homecoming event. The day featured a variety of attractions such as a car show, farmers market, live music, arm wrestling, fire hall tours, and much more. And pictured here, these two dinosaur wrangling experts posed for a quick photo before heading on their way to amaze more event growers. And there's more on the Carberry Homecoming on this page. So here you can see a foam cannon was one of the available attractions for kids at the Carberry Homecoming on August 26th. Many youngsters could be seen playing and laughing in the sea of suds. A close-up of one of the many fun-filled faces around the foam cannon area is right here. It's just full of bubbles. And here we have a performer that took the stage to serenade the homecomers with the sounds of her vocals and guitar. And here we have pictures of cars. These rides were just a couple out of the massive, stylish lineup of vehicles that could be seen in the car show section of Main Street. Most of the vehicles on display were vintage. Like this one says 1967. I don't know what these are. Looks like fun. What do we have next? Ooh, another festival. This time it's the White Mud Music Festival, rockin' some tunes. The White Mud Music Festival brought the groove, courtesy of an assortment of bands, to Arden's Lansdowne Centennial Park on August 25th and 26th. Pictured here are some of the bands that played. This band is called Cobra Snake Necktie, and it's a George Thorogood tribute band. And here, ZZ Topless, obviously a ZZ Top tribute band. And here we have the Chris Godoni Band, and here we have the B-34s. Now, with school starting soon, there's a little advertisement here about being aware of school bus vehicles. If a school bus is within sight, chances are children will be nearby. School buses make frequent stops. Flashing amber lights alert you to the fact that the bus is about to stop. It is your responsibility and the law to stop 5 meters behind or in front of a school bus when its red lights are flashing and the stop sign is extended. Currently, the maximum fine for passing a stopped school bus with its red lights flashing and the stop sign extended is $655.65. and assessment of 2 demerits on your license. So be smart. As hard as it is to believe, school bus drivers have reported vehicles passing the stopped school bus on its right side, the side where children enter and exit the bus. So with school coming up, I'll have to remember that. Now, if any of you are familiar with something that is in the town of Neepawa, Two Barns Antiques is permanently closing on September the 16th, 2023. So come out and make us an offer on everything in stock. It's a now or never sale, it says. Two Barns Antiques, 167 Main Street West in Neepawa. I'll come back to that. So, Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. This week, it is about the herb basil. Basil is a common herb in the kitchen and is a favorite herb of mine, says Helen. The word basil comes from the Greek word basilius, meaning king or royal, and is considered by many the king of herbs. Basil varieties have been cultivated for more than 5,000 years. There are over 150 varieties of basil that exist, and each has its own specific flavor. Lemon basil has a fresh lemony fragrance and makes an amazing addition to salads, grilled vegetables, or fish dishes. Sweet basil is the most widely grown basil and is the most common variety at the grocery store. If your recipe doesn't specify what kind of basil to use, it probably calls for sweet basil. This basil has a special affinity with tomatoes and is used in pasta, pesto sauce, chicken, and pizza. Cinnamon basil, also known as Mexican basil, and has a cinnamon-like flavor and scent. It is commonly served with vegetables, green salads, and is great in fruit salads and cocktails. Thai basil has an anise licorice flavor and is commonly used in Thai and Southeast Asian dishes. This type of basil holds up well to high temperature cooking. Basil should be harvested before it flowers because its flavor will lessen once the plant starts to flower. Keep fresh basil in a glass of water at room temperature and out of direct sunlight. The fresh leaves are the parts mostly used, but you may use the flower buds for garnish or in a salad. Basil is most commonly used fresh in recipes. When cooking, add it in at the last moment, as cooking quickly destroys the flavor. Make and refrigerate this following pesto recipe or freeze it in greased ice cube trays. Once frozen, store the cubes in a sealed bag in the freezer. Add the cubes to cooked soups, pasta dishes, stews, and sauces for added flavor. Most pestos call for pine nuts, which are really expensive. You can substitute walnuts, pistachios, almonds, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, or sunflower seeds, which are more reasonably priced. So she has a couple of recipes. One is that basil pesto, and the other one is roasted tomato basil soup. So you can go online to our paper page and see those recipes. Kaleidoscope concerts making some changes, submitted by the Kaleidoscope group. As the leaves begin to change color, a new Kaleidoscope concert season is set to begin in October. This year, we'll see a few changes in how Kaleidoscope operates. The volunteer board has had to reflect on past seasons and has had to make some hard decisions. Unfortunately, ticket sales last year were down significantly, with the largest crowd of around 80 attending the Fitzgerald's concert. Other concerts, including the once popular Manitoba Theatre Centre's traveling production, had only 40 to 50 in attendance. Before COVID, attendance was on the rise. with around 150 people at each concert. This year, the concerts will be held at Arts Forward, a smaller, more intimate venue for a smaller, more intimate crowd. The smaller stage will accommodate smaller groups of performers, therefore Neepawa will not be a stop for the Manitoba Theatre Centre this year. The venue is licensed and offers a variety of setup options from concert seating to coffee house seating with tables. Season tickets will not be an option this year. The idea of a season ticket was becoming less popular as more audience members were away for part of the year and could not commit to every concert. This does have some advantages as the Kaleidoscope Board does not have to determine every concert by the fall. If an opportunity arises to book a show that is passing through, they have that flexibility to do so. Eventbrite, an online ticket sales platform, can be used to purchase advance tickets this season. Concert attendees can also purchase advance tickets at Arts Forward or at the door at each concert. To date, Kaleidoscope has 2 concerts confirmed and are in negotiation to bring 2 or 3 more to Neepawa. The season will begin with comedian Matt Falk on October the 27th. This is a show for the whole family. The other confirmed concert will be Geordie McKeeman and his Rhythm Boys in February. McKeeman's band performed in Neepawa in October of 2017 and were very well received. Advance tickets for these 2 shows go on sale online on September the 1st. For more information or to purchase tickets, check out the Kaleidoscope Concerts website at kaleidoscopeconcertseries.weebly.com/. Okay. All right, next. The Borkarts celebrate 65 years of wedded bliss by Jean Bogart. An announcement of our 65th anniversary was put in the banner. Our actual wedding date was August the 17th, and on that special day, our son Alvin Jr. picked up our youngest daughter Jeanette Dolding, and he picked up Rev at the care home, and we had a fantastic lunch at Kisman Court's 2 assisted living home. It was truly a wonderful day. The following Sunday, August 20th, a come-and-go tea was planned from 2 to 4 at the Country Meadows Personal Care Home Activity Room. A decorated cake was ordered from Co-op, and a dear friend, Darren Rowe, delivered it so everything would be all set up by 2 o'clock. A table was set up at the door, and a guest book was there to let the Borkarts know who came to help them celebrate this wonderful day. Roughly 49 were in attendance, and they came from Winnipeg, Brandon, McCreary, Plumas, and many from the Neepawa community. While people were busy eating the anniversary cake and ice cream, Reverend James Vosper from Plumas had a prayer and wonderful words to Pastor and Jean. Son Alvin had some words expressing his memories of growing up and the love he and his brothers and sisters received from their parents. Family members able to attend were Alvin Jr. from Souk, BC, Pamela Chevrier from Marathon, Ontario, Reverend Harold and Annette Borkart from Enola, and daughter Carissa and her children Eva and Eli from Beausejour, plus Jeanette and husband Marshall from Neepawa and their son Clayton Dolding, and wife Kayla from Eden. Of course, Mother had to let everyone know that Harold and Annette celebrated their 38th wedding anniversary on their parents' wedding date, but in 1985. I always teased Reverend Harold that the only reason he chose August 17th, as if he remembered his parents' anniversary, he'd always remember their wedding date. LOL. With so many happy times, it was all tied together with the wonderful singing voice of Merv Bone, who sang some wonderful songs. So many were rejoicing, and even our daughter-in-law joined Merv in singing a song no one else knew how to sing. Our heartfelt thank you to all of you who helped make our day so special. I've always said friendships are made in heaven, and since moving here in 1984, we thank God for blessing us while living here in Neepawa. Over the years, Rev served Brandon as a vacancy, assistant pastor at Plumas, and served McCrary congregation, who was part of the Christ Lutheran Church. So there's a picture of them right here, Jean and L. Borkhardt. Now there's another picture here. SWIS program hosts Family Fun Day. The settlement workers in schools, SWIS, held a Family Fun Day at Riverbend Park on August the 25th. Children and their families were welcome to come down and enjoy a series of games as well as a chance to win a prize. And here this lucky winner, eager to play with his brand new Case tractor, begins to return to his seat as the SWIS team prepares the next draw date. Okay. 2023 Langruth Harvest Festival. Boy, there's sure lots of festivals going on. The Langruth Harvest Festival will be back on September the 9th, 2023 at the Langruth Sports Grounds. This family fun day is filled with great activities for the whole family. The signature hay bale climbing structure will be ready for everyone of all ages to climb on. Jump on the hay ride with Alan Creaser to relax and enjoy the fall scenery. Say hello to the animals in Don's small animal petting zoo. Don't miss the cow patty bingo auction to try your luck at taking home 50% of the sales. The old-fashioned races, bouncy castles, and face painting are always a favorite of the children. Test your archery skills with the archery challenge. Join in the tractor pull challenge and see how many people are needed to pull a tractor. This year's new highlights will include a touch-a-truck area where there will be a variety of vehicles and machinery to see. A barrel train will be available for children to ride between the activities. They won't want to miss the graffiti station and searching for clues for the mystery scavenger hunt. The Harvest Festival will be open between 1 and 6 p.m. and will certainly be a full day. Admission is free. A silver collection box will be available for donations. The Harvest Festival raffle tickets and last ball standing bingo tickets will be available throughout the day. Proceeds from the raffle and bingos help fund the many activities. The canteen will be open with pulled pork on a bun as the feature menu item, along with a regular menu of hot dogs, poutine, chips, bars, and drinks. So come on out to Langruth with your family and friends for a fun-filled day on September the 9th. So now we have an article here where they are zeroing in on a community member and asking questions. So it's like a question and answer. And this week it's meet Brent Sorensen of Stride Credit Union. So the person interviewing him says, you grew up in Marquette, Manitoba on a livestock farm operation and chose Neepawa to be your home for the past 15 years. You are very active in the community. You're president of the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation, involved with the Neepawa Curling Club, Ducks Unlimited, and sitting on the host committees for 2 provincial curling championships. What is it about this area that you love? So Brent's answer, Neepawa has become home for me. The community has been very welcoming and is a great place to live and work. The growth of the community over the past 15 years has been amazing, resulting in many more opportunities for people to make Neepawa their home. The next question, what are some key opportunities that you see for the area? Neepawa has seen the completion of many significant projects and is slated to experience more. A new fire hall, new police station, a new middle school, and major retail investments have all enriched the Neepawa area. Construction of a new, significantly larger hospital facility is underway. A new vocational high school has been announced for the area, along with a new 72-room hotel. Each of these projects will continue to move Neepawa forward and help facilitate continued growth in all aspects of the town. Next, you have been helping farmers and commercial businesses get the financing they need for 15 plus years. What is it that you love the most about your job? This job has allowed me to stay involved within the agricultural industry and assist both agricultural and commercial members find financing solutions to help their businesses grow and thrive. In addition, my career at Stride has put the agribusiness degree I obtained from the U of M and the professional horologist registration I hold to very good use. Each deal has a unique set of circumstances and challenges that need to be dealt with during the financing process. The greatest satisfaction for both myself and the members generally comes when I put financing together for a purchase or project that the member has long dreamt of completing. And lastly, you were recently on the front page of the Neepawa Banner in a feature discussing the new Best Western Plus hotel breaking ground in Neepawa. There must have been many moving parts in putting financing together for a project like this. Can you share how you were able to secure financing for the project? Well, financing a project such as the new Best Western Plus Hotel is a challenging and time-consuming process. It begins with an initial gathering of information and preliminary review before a full project and the number of partners involved. Assessing the viability of a project through to providing funding can take months to occur. Once the project has been deemed viable, the team at Stride works with professional partners like lawyers and project consultants, each playing a critical part in satisfying the terms and conditions of financing. We then proceed to the documentation and registration of security interest steps, all before being able to finally advance funds on the project with ongoing monitoring completed throughout the entire process until the project is completed. I am very proud of the relationship we built with the project's shareholders during the financing process and look forward to seeing how the completed hotel will enhance Neepawa and surrounding area. Okay, this looks like the sports page. The first article is about a young man originally from Gladstone. And a former Neepawa Natives player, Josh Blondeau, has traded in the horizontal stripes on his team's former jersey for some verticals in the form of the black and whites of an on-ice game official by Owen Devereaux. If you've ever been involved in hockey at any level, you've imagined what it would feel like to lace up the skates, come out of a dressing room, and step out onto the ice for a real-life NHL game. Josh Blondeau of Gladstone still has those dreams of taking that walk, but now it's in a slightly different uniform. The former player for the Neepawa Natives, now known as the Titans, recently participated in the NHL's annual exposure combine. The event, held every August in Buffalo, New York, is a training school for referees and linesmen. Its ultimate goal is to evaluate the next generation of officials and see who has the potential to perhaps one day be a ref or linesman in the NHL. The combine included more than just representatives from the NHL as league reps from the American Hockey League, the ECHL, and all three of the major juniors were there evaluating those who could officiate their games one day. Blondeau, who played for Neepawa from 2015 to 2018, said in some ways the combine had a similar feel to that of training camp when he was a player. He added that he felt positive about the entire experience. We did on ice and off ice fitness testing and then officiated some games. All in all, I think it went pretty well, said Blondeau. Blondeau has had his credentials to officiate since he was about 13 years old. After establishing his full-time career as a member of Brandon Fire and Paramedic Services, he decided last year to get back onto the ice. During the 22-23 season, he officiated around 20 games for AAA and Junior B leagues. For the upcoming season, he'll step up to the next level, officiating in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. As well, Blondeau has a tryout set for the Western Hockey League in early September. For now, Blondeau said he simply enjoys getting back out there and giving back to the game. And now on to football. Are you ready for some football? The players for the Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute, or NACI, football team have put on the pads and helmets for another season in the Rural Manitoba Football League. Pictured are the team going through their cardio and tackling drills during practice on Friday, August 25th. The first regular season home game for the NACI Tigers will be on Sunday, September 10th, when they host Swan River. Opening kickoff is set for 2 p.m. So here we have a picture of them running, and here they have their drills. Still with sports, this is about the Neepawa Blue Dolphins swim team. The Neepawa Dolphins wrapped up competition for the 2023 season in Treherne. The action was fast and furious. After the water settled, some of the Dolphins swam away as one of the top 3 swimmers in their category for the 2023 season. Points are awarded to every swimmer, with first place finishers earning 20 points. Swimmers are limited to a maximum of 5 races per event. This season, swimmers had the opportunity to attend 5 locations. Cami Smith entered 5 events at each of the 5 races. She accumulated a perfect 500-point season. That meant she won all her races. As for the Nadeau sisters, who competed and often had better times than their competitors, we wish them good swimming as they return to Brandon for the upcoming winter swim season. And future Titans hit the ice. The Neepawa Titans Hockey School ran at the Yellowhead Center from August 28th to the 31st. So here we have a few pictures of that. And here we have another picture to show you. Wilfred Walker of Neepawa has become an expert sunflower grower. This year's crop proves that with plants as high as 13 feet 6 inches. While Walker grows a variety of plants in his garden, the sunflowers are certainly the tallest. I'm not sure if you can see it, but here he is, and behind him stands this humongous sunflower seed plant. Wow. Okay, sustainably focused. This is by Manitoba Pork. Hog farmers help us eat more sustainably. As days become shorter and nights turn cooler, the sights and sounds of harvest come into focus across Manitoba's prairie landscape. Farmers start moving equipment into place, working long hours and hard days to bring in the crops they have tended to and worried about for months. After they're done, they return key nutrients to the soil by applying manure. signaling the end of the season's crop cycle. All crops require nitrogen and phosphorus to grow, says Scott Dick, co-founder of AgriGold Consulting. Manure is an excellent source of these essential nutrients, and our team provides expert nutrient management services for farmers to ensure that manure is applied at the right rate, at the right time, and in the right place to make the nutrient needs of the farmland. According to Stats Canada, about 90% of hog manure in Manitoba is injected under the soil surface or incorporated into the soil, the highest rate in Canada. This method of application ensures that valuable nutrients are not lost through runoff, but remain firmly in the soil for uptake by plant roots. It's nutrient recycling at its best. It also mitigates odor and greenhouse gas emissions. I love working with farmers and helping them grow the food that goes on our tables while protecting our environment, Scott says. Every day I can see that Manitoba hog farmers are passionate about protecting the environment, and they are committed to following best management practices that meet or exceed environmental regulations. Manitoba's hog farmers raise the animals and help grow the crops that feed us here at home and millions of people around the world. This fall, as the crops are harvested and the soil begins to rest over the winter months, farmers will once again do what they have done for generations: protect our land and water so that the work can begin anew in the spring. All right, Searching for Truth. This is by Ken Waddell. He has a disclaimer. The views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the view of the Banner and Press staff. Over the past few weeks, I've been noting some news items that seem strange, to say the least. It is becoming more difficult to sort out truth from fiction. One thing I know for sure is that news media outlets are way too quick to jump to conclusions, usually conclusions that fit their chosen narrative. As always, do your own research to establish what is true and what is fiction. A story that came out over the weekend was that the horrendous fire in Hawaii had been blamed on global warming. Now, I am the first to admit that global warming or climate change is real. My problem is that I don't believe it's anything new. I also don't believe that mankind can do all that some people wishfully think we can do to modify the course of climate change. I say the Hawaii fires had been blamed on climate change, but it has now been reported that downed power lines set the fires ablaze, and that emergency sirens did not blare, so people were caught unaware. I am not making any judgment on this tragedy, but just remember that whether it is a small story or a world shaker, there is always more to any news story. The next thing that caught my attention is that the US/Biden government is looking to ban gas stoves. Seems pretty stupid to me, as gas is a clean, cheap source of energy. Can't imagine how many tons of metal will go to recycling or how many tons of steel will be needed to make new electric stoves, but this move doesn't make sense to me. But governments don't have to make sense and usually don't. All they have to do is look like they are making sense, and they spend a lot of our money trying to convince us that they are making sense. Some group in the United States is hoping that in a very few years we will save the world by reducing beef consumption to zero, as well as milk consumption. They aim to have people only buy 3 new pieces of clothing per year and restrict people to 1 airplane trip every 3 years of less than 1,500 miles. That will sure screw up the world leaders from flying to climate change conferences in their big jet planes. Here's a good one. Canada recommends that people only drink 2 beers per week. The US is planning to adopt the same recommendation. Well, good luck with that idea. President Biden's latest idea is that he will have Congress finance a new vaccine and make it mandatory. Can Canada be far behind? Some medical people say we already have a 95% immunity rate to COVID-19. I wonder which story is true. In Canada, we have the carbon tax. It is a tax meant to lower gas usage. The market price went up, but the tax is still there. If higher prices were supposed to reduce consumption, then why do we still have the carbon tax? Carbon taxes have nothing to do with helping the climate change thingy. It has everything to do with feeding more money into the government. More money so they can pay more people to dream up more ways to control our lives. By the way, every time your neighbor buys an electric car, you have helped pay for it by the way of government subsidies. Then there's a guy recommending that we have no more babies and therefore let the human race die out, all in the name of saving the world. So if we have no more babies, then we have about 90 years left. It won't take that long, as the 70-year-olds of 2093 won't be able to feed themselves or look after each other, so the world should be people-free by about 2080. I sure don't want to see those last few miserable years. In light of all of the above, Canada's Liberals are planning how to fight off right-wing movements in the US and Canada. I have some advice for them. They could start by listening to the people and adopt logical policies, lower taxes, and reduce government interference in our daily lives. It would be nice if the Prime Minister and his cabinet stopped calling people who disagree with nasty names. It would be nice if they would acknowledge that every person has a right to their opinion and that some of the government policies are not that sound. It would be nice, but alas, I am not optimistic that it will happen. Okay, Rita Friesen. This week, her Home Buddies column is entitled, "What Did You Do?" How many of us live with residual guilt? She starts out saying. You know that feeling of being responsible for anything bad that ever happens to anyone? That feeling of being responsible for a tumble or a smash, or if we went out of our way to hurt ourselves or damage property? This line of thought started when I met an individual with a massive cast on their leg, from ankle to thigh. My immediate question was, what happened, rather than, what did you do? It was the right question this time, for it was a misstep that resulted in a broken kneecap. You can bet any money in the whole farm that the individual never for a moment thought, heck, smashing my kneecap could make for an interesting summer. Let's give it a try. This thinking led to a conversation with the grandchild. My grandchildren know the better version of my parenting more than some of my children. Age can bring wisdom and patience and understanding. The discussion included the tone when either question was issued. To be fair, when there has been a sibling or friend rumble followed by an explosion, mental or physical, is it fair to ask, what did you do? The act may have been initiated or retaliatory, but there probably was an action that caused a reaction. However, when someone comes limping off the ski hill, a bare bleeding knee exposed, the question should be, and fortunately was, what happened? The tone of what did you do can also be accompanied by a resigned sigh, like, what now? There are some among us that we would label accident prone. Simply walking across the yard invites a minor catastrophe. That stone leaped from my hand and nailed the cat that ran like heck and tipped the bucket that spilled the old oil all over the garage floor. To see that image, you have had to grow up on a farm or an acreage, because it's not a far-fetched scenario. This can be accompanied by the image of a preteen asked to take the farm truck to the edge of the black lane, not through the tree-lined lane leading to the yard, but to the edge of the tree line. With the confidence of youth, instructions were ignored. The old half-ton crept down the forbidden route, only to stop resolutely and completely on the face of a century-old oak. No harm done to truck or tree, but certainly to my ego. True story. I carry more than my fair share of residual guilt. When something goes awry with life, I am too quick to assume that I could have, should have been able to prevent anything bad happening to anyone or anything. I am working on this, have been for nigh unto 50 years, but about the time I think I have conquered self-doubt, another trigger activates some old memory. It is not taking nearly as long to talk down the demons. So I am winning. Having reflected on the difference in these intent behind the wording of the inquiry, I am confident that I will use "what did you do?" with much more discretion. Okay, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stoshine. It's called Strength in Adversity, Part 2. This week we continue our review of the Old Testament prophet Daniel and his three friends as they deal with kings who had overly inflated views of their own significance. At the end of last week's column, I shared how Daniel's three friends understood Nebuchadnezzar's real intention. He wasn't happy just being king of a vast world empire. He wanted to be a god similar to the Egyptian pharaohs, and demanded that those who worked for him renounce all other loyalties to worship and serve him alone. But Daniel's three friends were having none of that. As devout adherents of the law of Moses, they knew that they were to have no other gods but the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when Nebuchadnezzar demanded that they bow down and worship a statue of himself that he had commissioned, they gave him a polite but firm no. Nothing would make them change their minds, not even the threat of being thrown into the blast furnace workers had used to refine the gold for Nebuchadnezzar's statue, and being instantly incinerated by the fire in the furnace. They knew that by saying no to the king's command, they were putting their lives on the line. But they would rather be faithful to God and die than turn their backs on God, incur his displeasure, and spend the rest of their lives living with a guilty conscience for what they had done. Theirs was an unequivocal statement of faith. Our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning, fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O King. But if not, let it be known to you that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. That's from Daniel 3, verses 17 to 18. Did Nebuchadnezzar accept their explanation? No. Did he order them to be thrown into the blast furnace? Yes, he did. Did they burn? No. The Bible tells us that the only things burned on that day were the ropes with which they had been bound. The three men walked out of the furnace intact. There wasn't even a slight smell of smoke on their clothes. The God whom they served was able to deliver them, and he did. You and I may never be asked to put our lives on the line like these three men were, but as we go through life, we may have to deal with people in positions of authority whose attitudes closely resemble those of Nebuchadnezzar. How should we respond when asked to adopt philosophies or obey commands with which we do not agree? We do not know how many years Daniel and his friends spent in Babylon, nor do we know how many times they had to protest when their faith in God was openly attacked. What we do know is that only twice in all those years were they required to take the stand quoted above. On every other occasion, they were able to find a way by which they could serve the king without having to compromise their beliefs or customs. Finding ways for government and citizens to cooperatively achieve common goals must always be our goal. Finding ways to do that without forcing either side to lose face by compromising personal beliefs, convictions, or customs may take time, but it can be done. We should only refuse to obey, as Daniel's friends did, when no other option is available. Then God will honor our faithfulness just as he honored theirs. Here we have a picture. Some Titanic tubers. Oh my goodness. The potato crop looks as though it's coming out of the ground in very good shape this year. Pictured here, Victor and Shirley Stinson recently brought these into the Banner and Press office, a few potatoes from their garden. Both these ones weighed in at just over 2 pounds apiece and measured at around 8 and 5.5 inches. Very impressive indeed. Now, there's an article here by Barrett Nelson of Minnedosa, Manitoba, entitled, "Manitoba Needs a Healthier Future for Aging." The National Association of Federal Retirees is calling on the province's next government to ensure a secure, healthy, and dignified future for Manitobans. This work is more important now than ever before. In Manitoba, over 17% of the population, or more than 229,000 Manitobans, are already over age 65. Population trends through 2036 project a larger and older population of Manitobans than ever before. Older adults deserve dignity, and it's time to create a healthier future for aging in Manitoba. This provincial election is our chance to do that. We need Manitoba's next government to appoint an independent and effective seniors advocate for the province of Manitoba. Manitoba's next government must implement and evaluate the progress of the recently announced Manitoba Seniors Strategy. Now is the time for Manitoba's next government to improve access to care by ensuring funding and services to enable aging in place, including access to publicly funded home care, access to local care providers, and improved wait times for care. And Manitoba's next government must ensure Manitobans' incomes keep us with cost of living increases by protecting and encouraging more defined benefit pension plans. The National Association of Federal Retirees is the largest advocacy organization representing active and retired members of the Federal Public Service, Canadian Armed Forces, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and retired federally appointed judges, as well as their spouses and survivors. With nearly 170,000 members nationally, including 7,500 in Manitoba, and 60,000 veterans and their families, the association has advocated for improvements to the financial security, health, and well-being of our members and all Canadians since 1963. Our members need a plan for older adults in Manitoba. Manitoba needs a plan to create a healthier future for aging. Okay, I think I've read everything. And another part of the banner and press this week is celebrating National Trucking Week. So there's just a big picture of a truck on the front. Most, if not all, of what we need gets moved by trucks to reach its destination, whether it's food, gravel, grain, machinery, or something else entirely. It's likely it's had a long journey on the road. That's why the Neepawa Banner and Press is proud to celebrate National Trucking Week and the industry as a whole with its readership. So, this is entitled A Semi-Complete History of the Semi-Truck by Owen Devereaux. The history of the semi-truck is much like the roads that these vehicles travel down, long and winding, but also like these modern behemoths of the roadway. That history is also fascinating and awe-inspiring. Recent numbers from American and Canadian trucking associations indicate that semi-trucks will transport around 90% of the goods and commodities in North America. The impact these vehicles and their operators have to everyone's everyday life still quite significant. That is all the more impressive considering the truck's humble beginnings. Alexander Winton of Cleveland, Ohio, is credited with inventing the semi-truck in 1898. Before then, Winton was in the business of selling horseless carriages. And that's a picture of it right here. Horseless carriages. The Winton Motor Carriage Company of Cleveland sold their first 22 manufactured cars in 1898, and this created the need for the cars to be delivered to their buyers. As the buyers lived all over the country, this presented a few major problems. First, if the cars were driven to their customers, miles and wear and tear would be placed on them. Secondly, the actual delivery of each one individually would become quite expensive. This led to Winton inventing the concept of the semi-truck to handle the delivery of his manufactured vehicles. Winton addressed the issue with a new concept he called an automobile hauler that would carry the new vehicle on I lost my spot there. Secondly, the actual delivery of each one individually would become quite expensive. So this led to Winton inventing the concept of the semi-truck to handle the delivery of his manufactured vehicles. Winton addressed the issue with the new concept he called an automobile hauler that could carry the new vehicle on a trailer. In 1899, Winton Motor Carriage started manufacturing the hauler for its own use, and it then gained popularity with other car manufacturers. The first semi-trailer built by the Winton Motor Company used a modified short-wheeled touring automobile with a cart attached to the rear of it. The platform sat on the top of the engine portion and rested on a pair of wheels on the other end. This might be a bit confusing as most modern cars and trucks have engines in the front. This vehicle, however, had an engine in the rear. As for the platform itself, it was able to hold only one lone automobile. Historians have noted that some credit for a similar design idea is to be given to August Charles Frohoff, a Detroit blacksmith who built a carriage for a person who wanted to transport his boat in 1914, and he officially called the carriage a semi-trailer. The carriage semi-trailer was attached to a Ford. The semi-trailer was a hit, and he went on to develop the carriage semi-trailer for additional usages such as hauling lumber. In 1918, he incorporated the Fruhoff Trailer Company, which is still a leading maker of semi-trailers today. Wow, that's over 100 years. For a time, Winton kept his focus on improving engine designs as opposed to pursuing the design of his first semi-truck. However, other industries created a demand for semi-trailers, and numerous others continued to expand on the semi-trailer concept. In 1901, Reginald and Alfred Vanderbilt purchased Winton automobiles, and with it, the right to the designs of the auto hauler. He stayed active, however, in the industry with the creation of the Winton Engine Company in 1912. The new venture was so successful that Winton became the main supplier of engines for internal combustion electric-powered rail cars throughout the 1920s. In 1930, Winton sold the company to General Motors. Although Alexander Winton is not a household name the same way in which Henry Ford is, his contributions to automobiles and specifically the trucking industry are nearly as significant. Winton passed away in 1932 and was inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame in 2005. Here we have a few pictures of different styles of trucks. Big rig trucks are so common today that they show up in country music almost more than cowboys, horses, and love stories. When the trucking industry started in the early 1900s, railways were king, but over the decades, countless tons of freight has left the rail system and moved to the trucking industry. Today, semi-trucks are so common that many farmers own one or more, and it's not uncommon to see huge semi-trailers being loaded with grain directly from the combines or the grain carts. Edison Motors, not just a TikTok friend, a TikTok truck, by Joel Asselstein. Chase Barber, co-founder and CEO of Edison Motors, has been a trucker since he was 19 years old. While getting his business degree, he trucked during the summer. After graduating, he decided that instead of moving to Toronto for a $45,000 salary a year job, he should put his degree to work. With his friend Eric Little, the pair founded what is now called Edison Motors when they purchased a 1969 Kenworth for $4,000, which they have lovingly named Old Blue. In 2019, their business grew from not just hauling equipment and installing it to engineering and designing off-grid solar hybrid power stations. With this knowledge and experience, they started designing their own diesel-electric semi-truck because, well, they had had enough. In 2017, they had reserved a Tesla Semi, and after waiting 4 years, enough was enough. They decided instead of waiting, it would be quicker to build it themselves. In 2021, on TikTok, they announced to not just Canada, but to the world that Edison is doing what no Silicon Valley giant is doing, building a truck that truckers want, and raising $2 million in donations from $50 to $1,000. This is truly a truck that has been crowdsourced by truckers. Edison Motors is a beautiful clash of old, tried and true, and new and efficient, heralding back to the days where anybody and their dad can look at an engine and understand what needs to be done and how to do it, compared to today where you need an IT technician instead of a mechanic. with off-the-shelf parts. Instead of paying $500 for a custom part, the idea is that you can pick up a pair for $20 at your local piston ring or Napa dealer. Chase had talked in length about how no part is going to be a custom, even the windows. Why spend $900 on a custom-fitted curved window that could take weeks to get in, when a flat piece that costs $50 can be cut the same hour and be back on the road? With over 110 experts donating, not just their time and expertise, but blood and sweat, this isn't just a company, this is a passion. When asked about the future, what the future looks like for Edison Motors, Chase replied with, "It's not about the money. Our goal is to make a truck that people want and can afford." He also said, "If we build the nicest truck, people will buy it. We can figure out the business side later." When asked, "So why electric semis?" the answer was one word: torque. These electric trucks are being designed around British Columbia logging and transport, meaning high inclines and big loads. When normal semis boast an impressive 2,000 to 4,000 pounds of torque, meaning hauling capacities of 50,000 to 100,000 pounds, Edison is claiming 69,000 pounds of torque to 100 pounds, 50 times more torque than your traditional diesel engine. If anyone's read Fortune magazine's article on Chase, you may know that he still lives in his parents' basement, but instead of playing video games, he's making a difference, one that everyone can get behind. Beware wide loads. Huge loads like these are becoming more common on highways today. This picture is from Gloria Gerluch's photo album and shows the kinds of loads that her late husband John used to haul. The truck boxes and motors are so large they had to be hauled on separate low beds from the manufacturer in Laredo, Texas, mainly Fort McMurray, Alberta. John Gerluch had to plan his loads and his routes very carefully, as the wide, high, and overweight loads can only travel on certain highways and are often restricted to daytime travel. Here we have an article by Ken Waddell about this old fire truck. When we think of trucks, we usually think of giant semis hauling oil or grain and other goods, or we may think about grain trucks or livestock hauling rigs. Every town and village has been served by a different kind of truck. The fire truck at Alonza is no exception. Tucked away in the back room of the Alex Robertson Museum in Alonza is an ancient fire truck. It served the community for years, but when its practical use came to an end, it was stored safely away so we could appreciate it, but also the people who kept it going to try and keep the area safe. This old truck is reported to be a 1938 Bickle and is part of the Alex Robertson Museum at Alonza. And Ken added a note that this museum is one of the cleanest, most organized museums I have ever visited. So that's in Alonza. Now here we have a picture of a humongous truck. This is the huge Titan truck at Sparwood, BC, that back in 1991 was declared the largest truck in the world. It is known as a rock truck or a mining truck and is capable of hauling large loads. Tourists have pulled over for years to snap a photo beside the Titan. Jordan Gerluch, formerly Minnedosa, is directly in front of this truck, as is his daughters, Brielle and Scarlett. The girls are the grandchildren of Gloria and the late John Curluke of Minnedosa. John was a long-haul trucker who transported overweight and height loads that sometimes included parts for these big trucks and the even bigger ones that are available now. All right, the last article we have today is entitled Right to Repair is on the agenda. An introduction to the details behind Canada's Bill C-244. This is also by Joel Asselstein. In recent years, there has been a growing concern among consumers about their right to repair the products they purchase. Many electronic devices, appliances, cars, tractors, and semi-trucks are designed in a way that makes it difficult or even impossible for consumers to fix them on their own. This has led to increased frustration and a sense of helplessness. In response, the Canadian government introduced the Right to Repair Bill, C-244, which aims to address these concerns and provide consumers with the ability to repair their own products. The trucking industry plays a crucial role in the Canadian economy, transporting goods and materials across the country. Trucks are complex machines that require regular maintenance and repairs to ensure they operate safely and efficiently. However, currently, truck owners and operators often have limited options when it comes to repairing their vehicles. They are often forced to rely on authorized dealerships or repair shops, which can be expensive and time-consuming. The Right to Repair Bill, C-244, seeks to change this by giving truck owners and operators the right to repair their vehicles themselves or choose an independent repair shop. This will not only provide them with more flexibility and control over their repairs, but also potentially reduce costs and downtime. With the Right to Repair Bill C-244, while it is still in its early stages, there are already businesses that have embraced the principles of the right to repair. One such example is the farming industry. Farmers heavily rely on their equipment and machinery to carry out their daily operations. However, the high costs of repairs and limited access to authorized repair services have been a significant challenge for many farmers. By embracing the right to repair, farmers have been able to take matters into their own hands and fix their equipment when needed. This has not only saved them money, but also increased their productivity and reduced downtime. Another case study is the independent repair industry. Many small repair businesses have been struggling to compete with authorized repair shops, which often have exclusive access to repair information and parts. The Right to Repair Bill C-244 aims to level the playing field by requiring manufacturers to provide independent repair shops with the same access to information and parts as authorized repair shops. This will not only benefit these businesses, but also give consumers more options when it comes to repairing their products. The Right to Repair Bill C-244 promotes sustainability in several ways. Firstly, by giving consumers the right to repair what they own, it reduces the need for new products to be manufactured, which in turn reduces the consumption of raw materials and energy. Secondly, it encourages manufacturers to design products that are more durable and easier to repair, leading to less waste and a longer lifespan for products. Thirdly, it supports the growth of local repair businesses, which often have a smaller carbon footprint compared to large-scale manufacturing operations. Overall, the Right to Repair movement aligns with Canada's commitment to sustainability and can contribute to a more circular economy. As individuals, there are several steps we can take to support the Right to Repair movement. Firstly, we can educate ourselves and others about the importance of consumer rights and the impact of the Right to Repair bill. This can be done through social media, attending public hearings, or joining advocacy groups. Secondly, we can make conscious purchasing decisions by choosing products that are designed with repairability in mind. This includes considering the availability of spare parts and repair manuals. Lastly, we can support local repair businesses by patronizing their services and spreading the word about their expertise. Join the Right to Repair movement today and help shape a more sustainable and consumer-friendly future. Learn more about the Right to Repair Bill C-244 and how you can support the cause by visiting www.righttorepair.ca. Together, we can make a difference. So that is it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you another time. So bye for now.